Hello, m'ladies of inestimable value. The hardest people to understand are the ones who don't care if you understand them. Some people walk through life like open books, predictable, easy to read, and desperate for attention. Then there are Sigma females, the ones who move in complete silence, confusing, intriguing, and frustrating everyone around them without even trying. They don't explain themselves, don't follow social scripts, and definitely don't behave the way people expect them to. It's not rebellion, it's not arrogance, it's just how they're wired. Psychologists say that most people fear what they don't understand. That explains why Sigma females leave so many people scratching their heads. They'll ignore texts for days but respond like nothing happened, have deep conversations with strangers and then disappear, and work like machines 1 week only to vanish into thin air the next. They don't chase validation, they don't play social games, and they definitely don't care if their actions make sense to anyone else. And that's exactly what makes them so damn fascinating. You never really know what they'll do next. But one thing is guaranteed. Whatever it is, it won't be what you expect. Number 1. They ignore texts for days, then respond like nothing happened. Sigma females don't ignore texts to be rude, manipulative, or dramatic. They just operate on a completely different wavelength when it comes to communication. To them, messages aren't an urgent matter that requires immediate attention. They'll read a text, acknowledge its existence in their mind, and then get completely distracted by something else. Work, an idea, a deep dive into a random topic, or simply the peace of their own solitude. Time slips away, days pass, and they don't even realize they never replied. And when they finally do, it's as if no time has passed at all. No apology, no explanation, just a continuation of the conversation like nothing happened. To the average person, this is confusing, frustrating even. People assume ignoring messages means a lack of interest, but with a Sigma female, that's rarely the case. She simply doesn't view texting as a necessary part of maintaining relationships. Small talk drains her. Meaningless check-ins feel forced, and the expectation of constant availability, completely unappealing. She prefers real connections, deep conversations, and interactions that serve a purpose. If she texts you, she means it. If she doesn't, it's not personal. It's just that her mind is elsewhere. Most people take silence as a sign of disinterest or disrespect. But Sigma females don't play by those rules. They're not glued to their phones, waiting for a notification to validate their existence. They don't feel obligated to respond just to keep up appearances. And they definitely won't engage in back-and-forth texting just to fill empty space. If you get a reply from a Sigma female, it's because she actually wanted to respond, not because she felt pressured to. This level of detachment can drive some people insane. It makes them question where they stand, wonder if they did something wrong, or assume she's lost interest. But in reality, Sigma females just don't do performative communication. They exist on their own terms, answer when they feel like it, and don't see a need to justify their silence. It's not about playing games, it's about freedom, and if you understand that, you'll never take it personally. Number 2. They show no reaction to insults, which drives people insane. Insults only work if the person on the receiving end reacts. That's where Sigma females break the game. They don't flinch, don't defend themselves, and don't fire back with petty comebacks. They just stare, shrug, or keep moving like nothing happened, and that drives people insane. Most people expect a reaction, anger, hurt, embarrassment, something to confirm that their words had an impact. But with a Sigma female, there's just nothing. No shift in expression, no loss of confidence, no sign that she even registered the insult as an attack. It's not that she doesn't hear it, she does. She just doesn't care. To her, an insult is a desperate attempt at control, a weak effort to pull her into someone else's drama, and she refuses to play along. This confuses people because society is built on emotional exchanges. Throw an insult, get a reaction. That's how the cycle works. But when a Sigma female refuses to give them the satisfaction, it leaves people scrambling. They'll try harder, get louder, throw bigger jabs, hoping to break through that wall of indifference. But the harder they push, the more pathetic they look. Eventually, they realize the painful truth. She's untouchable. The real reason Sigma females are unbothered? They don't take anything personally. An insult says more about the person throwing it than the person receiving it. She knows that when someone lashes out, it's a projection of their own insecurities. It's not her problem. And she's not about to let some random person's bad day or bruised ego mess with her peace. This doesn't mean she's weak. If someone crosses a real line, she will shut it down, but not with emotional outbursts. She'll do it with a cold, cutting response that ends the conversation in one sentence. Or worse, she'll say nothing at all and walk away, leaving the person stewing in their own embarrassment. That's what makes her so powerful. She wins without fighting. She disarms people without lifting a finger. And the best part, she doesn't even have to try. Number 3, they engage in deep conversations with strangers, then never speak again. Most people engage in small talk, exchange a few surface-level pleasantries, and move on. Sigma females, they skip all of that and go straight for the soul of a conversation. Within minutes, they can unravel a stranger's deepest thoughts, fears, and ambitions, pulling out truths that person didn't even realize they were ready to share. And then, they disappear. No follow-ups. No let's stay in touch. No fake promises to meet up again. The conversation happened, it was real, and now it's over. This confuses people because society conditions us to believe that meaningful interactions must lead to something: friendship, connection, an ongoing relationship. But Sigma females don't see it that way. To them, some moments are meant to exist only in that moment. Not every conversation needs a sequel. They aren't being cold, and they're definitely not playing games. They just don't feel the need to collect people like trophies or force relationships out of brief encounters. If they felt a genuine connection, they lived it fully in that instant. There's no need to drag it out or turn it into something it wasn't meant to be. This behavior confuses and sometimes frustrates the people they interact with. After all, how do you go from discussing the meaning of life with someone to never hearing from them again? Some take it personally, assuming the Sigma female was pretending to care. But that's the furthest thing from the truth. She was fully present, deeply engaged, and truly interested. She just doesn't believe that every meaningful interaction requires maintenance. She also has limited social energy and is highly selective about where she invests it. Keeping up with people out of obligation, exhausting. Maintaining a connection just because it would be nice, not her style. She moves through life following her own rhythm, knowing that some encounters are meant to be fleeting. And the strangest part, many of the people she leaves behind never forget her. They remember the intensity of that one conversation, the way she made them feel seen, the fact that she never tried to impress them, just understood them. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. Number 4, they speak in half sentences because their minds work too fast. A Sigma female's mind doesn't work in a straight line. It moves in jumps, loops, and shortcuts, constantly making connections between things that most people wouldn't even link together. That's why when she speaks, it can feel like she's starting in the middle of a thought, cutting herself off or leaving sentences hanging. It's not because she's unsure of what she's saying, it's because she's already 3 steps ahead in her mind and doesn't always stop to fill in the blanks for everyone else. To the average person, this can be frustrating. Conversations with her might feel like a puzzle, where you only get pieces of the whole picture. She'll start a thought, get distracted by another, jump topics and then circle back, or not. Sometimes she assumes people just get it and moves on, leaving them completely lost. But the truth is, she isn't trying to be confusing. She just doesn't feel the need to slow down or over-explain. If you understand, great. If not, she's not going to waste energy spelling it out. This habit isn't limited to speech either. In texts, she might send something cryptic and expect you to just know what she means. In emails, she might skip unnecessary formalities and get straight to the point, leaving others unsure if she's being blunt or just efficient. She has no patience for small talk or excessive details. She communicates for clarity, not for approval. Some people assume this means she's careless with her words, but the opposite is true. She thinks deeply, intensely, and constantly. Her brain processes information so quickly that language sometimes feels like a limitation. a slow and clunky tool that can't quite keep up with the speed of her thoughts. And yet, despite the half-finished sentences and abrupt topic changes, people listen when she speaks. There's something magnetic about the way she drops sharp, insightful one-liners without needing to explain herself. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, she's already moved on. Either way, she's not waiting for anyone to catch up. Number 5. They disappear from social media after one post. Sigma females treat social media like a one-time experiment, not a lifestyle. One moment they'll post something deep, cryptic, or completely random, something that makes people pause and wonder what's going on in their mind. And just when you think they're about to start engaging, they're gone. No replies, no follow-ups, no daily updates to keep the algorithm happy, just silence. Most people live online as if it's their second home. They curate, engage, and seek validation through likes and comments. But a Sigma female, she doesn't care. She's not on social media to prove anything, to chase clout, or to keep up appearances. She posts when she feels like it, then disappears without warning. To some, this is confusing. To others, it's maddening. Why start something if you're not going to keep it going? Why drop a thought-provoking post and then vanish like you never existed? The truth is, she's just not wired for constant engagement. Social media feels like an obligation, a never-ending performance where people expect updates, responses, and consistency. And she has no patience for that. She shares when something feels important to her, when she has a thought worth expressing. But the second she feels like it's turning into an expectation, she's out. People assume that if someone isn't posting regularly, they must be unhappy, reclusive, or hiding something. But for a Sigma female, detachment is natural. She's not lonely. She just doesn't feel the need to narrate her life for an audience. She doesn't measure her self-worth in likes or followers, and she certainly doesn't believe that every thought, meal, or outfit deserves public documentation. What makes this even more baffling is that when she does post, people pay attention. It's never filler content or mindless scrolling bait. It's something that sparks curiosity, makes people think, or leaves them wondering what she's up to. And then, just like that, she's gone again. No warning, no goodbye, no desperate need to stay relevant. This unpredictability is why people remain intrigued by her. Just when they think they've figured out her pattern, she breaks it. And nothing confuses the world more than someone who refuses to play the game. Number 6. They work in bursts of intense productivity, then do absolutely nothing. Sigma females don't believe in balance the way most people do. They don't pace themselves, follow rigid schedules, or grind just for the sake of appearing productive. They move in extremes, either operating at full intensity or completely shutting down. When they are in the zone, they work with a level of focus that's almost frightening. Hours disappear, distractions cease to exist, and they produce more in a few days than most people do in weeks. Then, just as suddenly, they drop everything and vanish. No warnings, no explanations, just pure, unapologetic nothingness. This pattern confuses people. Society teaches us that success comes from steady effort, discipline, and routine. But a Sigma female doesn't function on external expectations. She works when inspiration strikes, and when it doesn't, she doesn't force it. To others, this looks like laziness or inconsistency. One minute she's pulling all-nighters, pushing herself to the brink, and obsessing over a project like it's the only thing that matters. The next, she's unreadable, unreachable, and utterly indifferent. No urgency, no guilt, no interest in justifying her sudden disappearance. What most people don't realize is that this isn't random. She operates on cycles of intensity and recovery. When she works, she immerses herself so completely that burnout is inevitable. She doesn't waste time on unnecessary meetings, social niceties, or half-hearted effort. She gives everything while she's engaged. And when she's done, she steps away completely. No pretending to be busy, no forcing motivation that isn't there. She disappears, recharges, and waits for the next wave of inspiration to hit. This isn't something she can change, nor does she want to. The traditional idea of productivity, slow, steady, predictable, is suffocating to her. She thrives in bursts, in obsession, in moments of total focus followed by stretches of absolute stillness. People may not understand it, but they can't argue with the results. When she's locked in, she delivers brilliance. And when she's gone, she's really gone. No half measures, no explanations, just a complete surrender to her own rhythm, no matter how confusing it looks from the outside. Number 7. They don't flirt, but still attract people, which confuses everyone. Sigma females don't flirt, they don't bat their eyelashes, play cute, or drop hints for attention. They have zero interest in games, forced charm, or the exhausting dance of trying to impress someone. And yet people find themselves drawn to them in a way that's both frustrating and irresistible. The secret? It's not what they do, it's what they don't do. While others are busy trying to be noticed, a Sigma female is completely unbothered. She doesn't try to entertain, impress, or win people over. She's perfectly fine being in her own world, minding her business, and avoiding unnecessary interaction. But that very indifference is what makes people want her more. It's human nature. The less available something is, the more desirable it becomes. Unlike people who flirt to seek validation, a Sigma female's energy is self-contained. She doesn't need attention to feel valuable. She doesn't chase, she doesn't fawn, and she doesn't overextend herself just to keep someone interested. This kind of confidence is rare, and people don't know how to handle it. They expect to be pursued, to be reassured, to be given clear signals. Instead, they get mystery, unpredictability, and the unsettling realization that she isn't affected by their presence. This makes people work harder to get her attention, but it rarely works. If she's interested, she'll make it known in her own way. Direct, effortless, no games. If she's not, no amount of charm, status, or effort will change that. And that's another thing that confuses people. She doesn't settle. She's not impressed by surface-level attraction or social validation. She values real depth, real connection, and real compatibility. Anything less? Not worth her time. The irony is that by refusing to seek attention, she gets more of it. While others try to stand out by performing, she does it by simply existing, unapologetically, unattached to people's expectations, and completely immune to the usual rules of attraction. The result? People want her, chase her, obsess over her, and she just keeps doing her own thing. Number 8. They walk away from lucrative opportunities just because it doesn't feel right. Sigma females don't chase money, status, or recognition. They chase alignment. If something doesn't feel right, no matter how lucrative, prestigious, or life-changing it looks on paper, they'll walk away without hesitation. And that drives people insane. To the outside world, this makes no sense. Why turn down a high-paying job, a powerful connection, or an opportunity that most people would kill for? Why throw away something guaranteed just because of a vague feeling? The answer is simple. Sigma females don't do things for external validation. If it doesn't align with their values, their vision, or their sense of purpose, it's worthless to them. They'd rather build something meaningful on their own terms than sell their soul for a shortcut. People mistake this for recklessness, but it's actually pure strategy. Sigma females aren't impulsive, they're highly intuitive. They see beyond the surface and recognize when something looks good but feels wrong. A toxic work environment wrapped in a big paycheck, a relationship that seems perfect but lacks true depth, a once-in-a-lifetime deal that requires compromising who they are, not interested. They know that chasing the wrong thing always leads to regret, no matter how perfect it seems at first. This confuses people because society has conditioned us to take what we can get and worry about happiness later. But Sigma females don't play that game. They know their worth, trust their instincts, and refuse to settle for anything that doesn't feel right. And because they don't let fear or pressure dictate their choices, they often end up in better situations than the ones they walked away from. The craziest part? They don't explain themselves. They don't try to convince others why they made their decision. They just move on, unfazed, unapologetic. And while people may call them foolish in the moment, they usually end up watching in shock as the Sigma female thrives on her own terms, without ever compromising who she is. Number 9. They wear the same clothes repeatedly and couldn't care less. Sigma females wear what they want, when they want, and as often as they want. Fashion trends, social expectations, the need to impress people with a constantly rotating wardrobe, not their concern. If they find something comfortable, practical, and effortlessly them, they'll wear it repeatedly without a second thought. And the best part? They genuinely couldn't care less if anyone notices. This completely baffles people. In a world obsessed with image, where most people stress over what to wear and how often they've worn it before, the Sigma female moves through life with zero concern for anyone's fashion opinions. Some assume it's laziness, others think she's making some kind of rebellious statement. The truth? She just doesn't attach her identity to clothing. That's not to say she has no sense of style. In fact, when she does put effort into her appearance, it's effortlessly striking. But for her, clothing isn't about status, competition, or validation. It's just something functional. She'll find a signature outfit, a few reliable pieces, and stick with them. Because why waste time overthinking something that doesn't define her? What confuses people even more is that she still manages to stand out. Despite wearing the same thing over and over, she never blends into the background. Why? Because her energy, confidence, and presence do all the talking. While others rely on changing outfits to keep up appearances, she lets her aura do the work. Some people admire this. Others feel uncomfortable because it disrupts the unspoken social rule that you're supposed to care about these things. But she doesn't. She'll show up in the same outfit for the third time that week without a hint of embarrassment. She won't explain it, she won't make excuses, and she won't suddenly start caring just because someone else does. And that's what truly confuses people, the sheer audacity of someone who refuses to perform for approval. Number 10. They never try to impress people, but they still do. Sigma females never try to impress people, yet somehow they always do. They don't put on a show, seek approval, or mold themselves to fit expectations. They exist exactly as they are, unfiltered, unbothered, and completely detached from the need to be liked. And ironically, that's what makes them so magnetic. Most people operate on a silent contract. You play your role, I'll play mine. They adjust their behavior based on who's watching, carefully curating their image to ensure they're accepted. But a Sigma female, she doesn't play. She doesn't switch personalities to fit the room, exaggerate her qualities to be admired, or chase attention by performing. She simply moves through life without forcing anything. And that's what draws people in. It confuses people because they can't figure out why she stands out. She doesn't try to charm, yet people remember her. She doesn't follow trends, yet she sets them without trying. She doesn't seek approval, yet she gets respect. It's effortless. And in a world where everyone is trying so hard to be noticed, effortless is rare. She's the kind of person who can walk into a room, say nothing, and still have a presence that makes people turn their heads. Not because she's loud or attention-seeking, but because she carries herself with the kind of quiet confidence that can't be faked. People can sense it. She doesn't need their validation, and that makes them crave it even more. The best part? She's not doing it on purpose. She's not calculating her moves to appear mysterious or cool. In fact, she's not thinking about other people at all. She's simply being herself, fully and unapologetically. And when you're that comfortable in your own skin, it makes people wonder what secret you've figured out that they haven't. That's why she impresses without trying, because she never set out to. And that's the biggest flex of all. Sigma females are an enigma, unpredictable, unapologetic, and completely unbothered by the world's expectations. They move differently, think differently, and exist on their own terms, refusing to conform just to make others comfortable. And that's exactly why they confuse people. Everything about them defies the usual rules. They don't chase validation, yet they captivate effortlessly. They don't follow trends, yet they leave a lasting impact. They don't try to impress, yet people can't help but be intrigued by them. They exist outside the system, and nothing unsettles the world more than someone who refuses to play along. But the truth is, Sigma females don't care whether they're understood or not. They don't waste time explaining themselves, seeking approval, or making their choices more palatable for others. They live by one rule: be real, be free, and let everything else take care of itself. And while the world struggles to figure them out, they're too busy living life on their own terms to even notice. If this breakdown of Sigma females blew your mind, don't forget to like, comment, and share this video. Let us know which point resonated with you the most, or if you've ever met someone like this. And if you want more raw, unfiltered insights like this, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Stay ahead of the game. We've got more coming your way.